I am Kay Cote, host here at the Business Spotlight series, and today I have Sam Pentecost, director of Alpine Pizza Co, as my guest on the show. Today we're going to be talking about his business, his journey to business ownership, challenges, best practices, and share a sneak peek into what it's really like to own and operate a business. If this is your first time on our channel, be sure to like and subscribe to get episodes just like this one. Welcome, Sam. It's nice to have you on the show today. How are you? Would love to hear a little bit
Hi,
about
yeah,
you.
I'm very good. I'm very good. Yeah, so I run the Alpine Pizza Co. We've been trading now for 7 years, I think. Um, and Yeah, we've grown quite substantially in that time from a small pizza caterer traveling around servicing weddings, corporate events, things like that, to now some of the largest festivals in the UK.
That is incredible. I'm curious, what kind of festivals are you serving right now? Like music or everything?
Yeah, so we do a bit of everything. We do at this time of year. We do a lot of sports at stadiums, things like that. So we do like the Rugby World Cup. We've
Hmm.
been working at Wembley, at the Grand National, and London Stadium, and a couple of other things at like racetracks and things like that. And then really end of May we start getting straight into festivals with Slam Dunk, which is quite a big one. Um, and then we go into Park Life, Reading and Leeds, Boardmasters. So yeah, most of the large festivals in the UK we will have a trailer at some form.
Wow, that is super cool. That must be exhilarating. So I'd love to kind of dive into the business. What does your
Yeah.
current like ownership structure look like? Like, are you're the director? So are there any
Yeah.
outside parties involved?
No, so it's just me. We've got a team of there's myself and three others. So we've got one general manager, one operations manager, and then we've got a chef who is sort of responsible for the food element of everything that we do. Um, and then we have teams that run outside of that, but as a senior management structure, it's quite small. So myself and three others that all work together to deliver the events that we do.
Okay, that is really interesting. I like the concept a lot. When you're thinking about your role as the director, what does your day-to-day look like? Is it always changing? Like, what is kind of that role for you?
It's definitely always changing. Although I'm basically my role is to deliver the pipeline of work and help build those processes in place along with Michael, who's our ops manager. We're trying to build all of those systems so that inevitably I can move further and further out and more, and the structure can keep building as we grow. Um, so yeah, so it is changing. I'm still very much involved in sort of problem solving, things like that. But really, I'm trying to make myself as redundant as possible so that the team can grow and yeah, not be reliant on myself.
Hmm. That's so important as the the starter of a business. It's like building your team, and
Yes.
yeah, it's epic.
Yeah.
I'd like to dive into kind of what makes your business unique, what makes it special. You talked about, serving different festivals and different things like that. So I'd like to hear, how do your customers and clients find you? How do they choose you? What sets you apart in the industry?
Well, I guess it's quite a unique business in that sense, in that we only really have maybe 6 to 8 key clients that we work with, but we actually sell to hundreds of thousands of people.
Hmm.
So when we go to a festival or a stadium or something like that, we're hired by a concessions management company who have already bid for the festival, and then they manage the festival, food
Hmm.
or drink or what have you. So we work directly for them, and essentially we get paid. We sell our products, Generally, we do it using their tills. We do use our own till system sometimes, and then after the event, they'll take a commission from it, and we will get paid after that. So it's quite unique because it's very difficult to establish who we're actually trying to market to. Our social media and things like that, we are trying to market to festival goers, but also these concession companies because we want to be attractive to them. So
Hmm.
we need to have a good following, but we need to have like professionality and all of our health and safety and things like that all in place.
Hmm.
So yeah, it is quite unique in what we have to do because we're trying to play to these sort of 8 or 9 specific clients, but actually we're also trying to we want all of the thousands of people that come to these events to remember our branding and go, yeah, I want to eat from
Yeah, it's like you have the two different kind of like eyes on your product. You have
there.
the client side, and then the consumers, like the festival goers. So that's really unique. It kind of leads me into my next question. Like, what is one thing you wish people knew about your business that they maybe don't, in marketing?
Hmm. I don't know, to be honest. I guess that would solve all of our marketing problems if we knew that. But that's a good question. Maybe we should know that. I don't necessarily, yeah, probably don't have an answer for it. If I did, I
Mhm.
don't think we would probably have twice as much work and all the rest.
Well,
But yeah,
and
I'm sure about
are
that.
you actively seeking to grow your client base currently, or are you like,
Yes,
okay?
we are. So we're definitely increasing our client base. We've doubled our turnover last year, and we are looking to double it again this year. So we're growing really rapidly, and in order to do that, we have got to increase our client base, and that's a huge part of that is getting a senior management team to relieve some of the workload from me so that I can focus on making those relationships with new clients. That's been really, really important because in previous years, I've just sort of been focused on doing everything as much as I possibly can. And yeah, having a team around me to do that has just meant that we can easily, it's been a lot easier to grow the
Hmm.
business without having to, yeah, without overworking everybody.
Definitely. Are you looking at like as you kind of go into your marketing, different strategies to market to the clients? Like, what is something you're kind of like working on, or what's your strategy right now
Um,
for marketing to your clients?
so we have I guess we started doing so when we apply for festivals, generally it's in the October, November, December of the year before. So a lot of that is already done. A lot of it is applications and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of it is networking and meeting new people, but also finding out because festivals and events, the concession company who looks after it, that can change year on year. So it's being really active on social media and on LinkedIn and things like that, and making sure we know who is going to be in charge of that event next year, which
Mm-hmm.
equally makes it very difficult as an industry to do 3, 4, 5 year projections because the people that we're working for might not necessarily have that contract next year. They sort of find out if they're going to have it, and then as soon as they find out, we find out, um,
Mm-hmm.
which is difficult, but um, ideally, if we do a good job year on year, we get invited back, and hopefully that continues.
Definitely. Kind of looking at, you're talking about different clients and, a lot of moving parts. Do you use a CRM, or how do you organize the people in your
So
business, clients?
no, I don't. We don't at the moment because I'm responsible for all the sales and marketing. So we've just employed a couple of people to help with marketing, like freelance.
Hmm.
Um, but again, it's when we sort of put it out to people, it's been a bit of a complicated because we're trying to sort of we're trying to attract two audiences.
Hmm.
So that's why we're kind of looking at going down two routes, saying, right, this person is going to be responsible for this element, where we're looking at growing our social media following, growing our, for our end user or the consumer of the food. And then we're looking at somebody to help us market us as a professional concessions company that can, A, do a really good job that people, guests like coming back to over and over again, but
Mm-hmm.
also just a professional outfit to deal with that they can rely on, that we're going to be on time, right place, right, and have everything in place to work safely and effectively to bring them good returns as well. As a lot of these things are on commission basis, they they need to know that we're not going to let them down, and we're going to be able to perform. And inevitably we're all businesses, so they're looking for the best returns that
Mm-hmm.
we can give.
Mm.
Yeah.
Very, very true. Well, I'd like to dive into, we've covered a lot about the business. I'd love to dive into kind of your journey through this and what made you decide to go this route, and be a business owner rather than working for somebody else. And what was that transition like for you?
Um, it wasn't particularly difficult. I basically I had I'd worked in a few kitchens and things before. I really enjoy cooking, and I um, I guess I basically wanted to do something at the weekend that we could do alongside a job, and just to earn extra money. And that's what we did. I went to a festival with my family, with my girls, and I was sort of watching a guy doing it, and thought I could do that. So I just came back, did a load of research, started putting it all together, and we started out going doing catering, weddings, and corporates, things like that, which we still do, but it's certainly not the largest part of the business anymore. It's probably around about 8-9% of the business is still uh, like weddings and things like that.
Hmm.
Although we are growing our corporate work. But yeah, that was where we sort of started, and yeah, it's just grown from there. The idea was always that I would have more time at home, more time with family, and make it more of sort of a lifestyle business. The last few years with COVID and things like that, it's definitely been that. It's been hard, but um,
Hmm.
I still try and put family first, and still have, and also now that we've grown this team, it does give me more time to be able to grow in other areas and things like that as well.
Yeah, that's really, really true. Well, it's really cool to hear that like side of your kind of the journey. I'd love to like explore what is one thing, like a hurdle or a challenge that you faced in the business that you overcame, and what was that like for you?
Um, well, I mean, the easy one to talk about is probably a bit having to be so adaptable, because things like COVID, things like weather, they're all things that have changed how events and how people, how the industry is.
Hmm.
Um, we've been able to adapt massively, and that was probably a good thing. There was lots of negatives in over that period of lockdown and all the rest of it, with us not getting any real support funding from the government, because we weren't a bricks and mortar business. Um, but it did mean that we could go and set up a pizza trailer in pub car parks. And although it didn't make a lot of money, it got us through to a time when we could um, return to doing weddings and doing events and doing festivals, and we came back a lot stronger.
Hmm.
And I guess that's probably one of the bigger hurdles. Um, I think the main hurdle we face every year is, I guess, rising costs, um, whilst trying to give good value. Um, but also recruitment. Recruitment is always the hardest thing, and it's trying to recruit people that for a seasonal job of good caliber is really, really difficult, and especially since Brexit, and we've lost, we can't get a lot of European workers that would, we have lots of guys that are Italian that have worked here for years or lived here for years and have citizenship, but
Mm.
there are lots of people in Europe that could work here and would be excellent pizza chefs, and we just can't employ them. It's too complicated for a business of our size to go through sponsorships and things like that. So that's
Yeah.
definitely a hurdle that we could do without, because yeah, finding good chefs that want to travel around and things like that is hard.
Definitely. That does sound like some challenges, but it sounds like you're overcoming them. And I'd love to hear, what have you got planned for the next 3 to 5 years in business?
Um, well, 3 to 5 years, I guess we're going to expand a little bit more with the assets that we've got. Um, so we've got a pretty aggressive plan for this year, and we should be able to do that with one more asset, which would be another pizza trailer. Um, for the future, I guess we would like to explore going into bricks and mortar, and also supporting some other businesses to get into this industry. Um, there are lots of bricks and mortar ventures that would like to do events, and I guess they're just such different industries. Although they feel the same, there's a lot of operational differences when you are moving a restaurant week in, week out to different sites that might not be flat, might not be dry, might not be, so there's a lot of different things that go into that. And of course, if somebody's an experienced chef, they might have never camped before, they might have never have, had late nights and early starts and sleeping in a tent where you don't necessarily get a great sleep and all that sort of thing. So it's certainly not for everyone, but yeah, that's certainly one of the things that we have to face with.
Yeah, I'm curious to what your setup looks like. Is it do you do a pop-up? Is it like a food truck? What's
So
your setup?
yeah, so we've got 6 units. So we've got a van, two small trailers, which are like horse box conversions. I've got two um, shipper containers, which are on wheels as well. So they're like 8 litre containers with full pizza ovens, prep kitchens, everything like that in.
Mhm.
And then we've got an Airstream, 9 meter uh, American Airstream as well. So they're all slightly different and have different capabilities. And then obviously behind that we have a sort of back of house. So we have like refrigeration trailers, refrigeration vans, lorries, that sort of thing that support um, storing and serving food at high volume at these shows.
Oh, that's very interesting. I'm a festival goer myself, so it's fun to hear the story of kind of the behind the scenes of the people at the festival. So
Yeah,
um
sure.
I'd like to hear a little bit about like your goal setting, kind of thinking about moving forward in your business, growing it. What is your approach to setting and achieving goals?
So we've adopted a profit first model, and we it's not something we necessarily ever did before, but it really makes so much sense. We kind of know what we want to make. It's I think it's a much, it is as a way of setting a goal. It's much better to set that goal and know what you're working towards than go, oh well, what have we made? What's left over? Um, we don't want to be doing that at the end of the tax year, going, oh, that wasn't worth it.
Mhm.
So yeah, so we've gone with the profit first. So we've set the target for the profit. Um, Everybody's bonused around that as well. So once we hit that target, everybody gets paid a bonus, and then after that, there's bonuses that follow up on from that as well, like a profit share. Um, And then we've just broken it down from there. So what we need to achieve to hit that profit, what turnover we need to achieve, and that's ultimately that's down to me, providing that pipeline for the guys to deliver. And yeah, fingers crossed, we'll keep pushing every single sale and hit those targets.
Well, definitely, this has been a very inspiring interview. And as we kind of wrap up, I'd love to dive into some rapid fire questions. These are just top of mind answers, and we're going to be asking four of them. So we'll start with the first question. What is the key to success for you?
Um, Having a good team. I think it's the only thing that is going to make these things work. Without having a team that work with you and all have the same goal, um, you're on your own, and that's not, yeah, it's just not going to work.
Mm-hmm. Very true. A team is huge. The second question is, what is one piece of advice you would have for other business owners?
Um, so something I didn't really do a lot of when I started was speak to other business owners, and I guess there's an element where people think, oh, they're competition or this, that, and the other. But actually, I quite enjoy speaking to business owners when they're first starting or things like that. They ask questions and stuff, and yet, sometimes they're going to be right next door, but the majority of the time they're 100 miles away, and they'll just go, look, I'm thinking about doing something similar. What do you think? Would it be worth me doing? And I can say yes or no, and I can say, look, there's a lot more to it. Um, and I think that's it. Like I talk with a lot of people who do the same thing as me. We do lots of pizza traders, but also lots of other festival traders, because it's really important to know what everyone else is doing, and it also means you have like a bit of a support network. And there's because inevitably there are events that are good and events that are bad, and you know normally events that are good are not easy to get into because people go back every year, whereas if somebody's advertising an event at you over and over again, it's probably because there's a reason people aren't going back. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, definitely talking to people and not feeling
Hmm.
like you're going to be in competition, I guess.
Yes, collaboration over competition every day. I love that.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
what is one piece of content, like whether it be a book, a podcast, something you're reading or have read recently that has impacted you?
Um, I've just listened to High Performance by with Jake Humphreys, which is a really good podcast. It's mainly focused around sport, which I'm not hugely into sport and coaching and all of that sort of thing, but it was quite easy to see the link between coaching a sports team and coaching a business. And it's one of those things. Not everything is going to click with you, but certain things, like accountability, um, really resonated with me. And there were certain things that people came up with in there that I just thought were, about the way that you speak to your team and the way that when things are good and when things are bad. There were some really interesting things and that I could recognize in myself and
Mhm.
do better with, basically, and improve the way that I deal with people, I guess.
That's a really cool concept, seeing how bringing that in. And yeah, I could see that too, but a lot of overlap in terms of like how
Mm.
to speak to the team. I have one more question for you in our rapid fire. If there was one
Yeah.
thing you could immediately change tomorrow in your business, what would it be?
Well, probably going back to what we said earlier is the ability to forecast 2 or 3 years. Like if the industry were in a way that we can plan for years and years ahead and kind of say, right, well, we've got an agreement in place for 3 or 4 years um, on that event, it would give us a lot more structure and um, less work, really,
Hmm.
having to reapply for the same thing every year, whether we, you know, I think it would just mean that we could plan much better. There are jobs that I was told that we would do year on year because we've really performed well, and then this year they've said, oh, we're having to drop the number of traders. The whole festival's getting smaller. This is changing, and
Mhm.
it's been a really sad, because where we've had really great successes in previous years, and we were sort of told, yeah, you'll be in that position for as long as you want it until you say I don't want to be there anymore. And then
Mhm.
unfortunately they've said, oh yeah, the festival's, they can't sell as many tickets. They're gonna be making it smaller. We're changing
Mhm.
the food traders. We're doing, so it really, and this is festivals that are happening in maybe 2 or 3 months' time. So
Mhm.
it's not a huge amount. The festivals that we applied for in November last year, and then we're just finding out now that the main festival is wanting to change a lot of things, and it means that we're not able to plan and forecast for years ahead. Which, if we could get that down to an art, it would save a lot of time and give us confidence in the industry to keep investing and things like that.
Mhm. Definitely. Well, those are great answers. I really appreciate that. And thank you so much. And before we kind of wrap up and get into our final question, how can people find you? Feel free to share social media, website, anything you want.
Yeah, so all everything is the Alpine Pizza Co. So Instagram, Facebook, our website as well. All of our recruitment's on there, and there's some great videos that we had uploaded onto our website as well, which give you a real good idea of what we do at festivals, the volume that we do, and what our units look like. So yeah, we had a guy come with us to Park Life last year, took video footage of both of our trailers in action. Yeah, they've come out really nicely, so it give you a good idea of what we do and what we can achieve.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Sam. This has been an incredible conversation. I have a final
You're
question
welcome.
for you today. Final question is, what is most inspiring to you today?
Um, hmm, I don't know. Um, I think there's some. So there's a couple of other vendors and food traders that have absolutely boomed in the last couple of years that I met years ago, and we were next to each other doing very similar things, like in our first sort of setups and things like that. From little gazebos and trying to work out how everything was going to fit and how everything was going to work. The Hash Hut is one of them. Jay, he's got a really cool place in Seven Dials Market now. He's just been on MasterChef, so I follow him really closely, and yeah, he's going to do big things in the next few years. So yeah, I definitely he's very inspiring. He manages to do it all so well, and yeah, and look great doing it. So yeah, he's very inspiring. Yeah, and I think he's definitely one to watch out for.
Oh, this has been such a great conversation. Again, thank you so much, Sam, for your time today and for sharing all
Yeah,
about Alpine Pizza. I am so excited. It makes me want some pizza. So thanks again for
yeah,
being on the show.
you're welcome. Yeah, great to speak to you.